Hello, I'm up here Extra Cat, and we got our first preview for the 1.21.70 update for Minecraft Bedrock. This is a giant beta and preview that catches up fully to the Java snapshot from this week, and I say fully, but as fate would have it, they have changed beacons, but not in exactly the same way. Today I want to explain why, as well as share the recent features from this update, which aren't listed on the changelog because they're weird and technically secret, and so this video comes to you in 5 parts. Here they all are, and let's start with the new features first. Before we can talk about the weird secrets that aren't even on Java, we should talk about the things that are, but just in case you haven't seen them, in the first preview for the spring drop, we got new pig variants, we got the lodestone change, and we got leaf particle effects, so when you hang around near a tree, you'll see leaves float through the air. But in this preview, we got so much more. First of all, new bushes. As well as the free bushes that existed before, sweetberry, rose, and dead bush, there is now a regular bush, which you can just punch if you want to, and of course there is the firefly bush, which is of course the source of fireflies, although they only are 1 pixel instead of 2, so they finally did what the community wanted, sort of, I guess you could say. I think that at some point we're going to have a way to turn this regular bush into a dead bush, but that's just a theory right now. Speaking of theories, there is also the wildflowers in this update. These are a very interesting plant. It's kind of like the cherry leaves. You can put them on the ground in 1, 2, 3, or 4 fashions, and they're kind of useful because I guess this is the 4th way, if you want to make yellow dye, so if that's useful to you, it's great. But I think they're the second most interesting thing you can find on the ground in this update, because this is leaf litter. And if you don't know why leaf litter is so great, let me walk over it and show you. Oh, isn't that noise so fun? It just reminds me of kicking up some leaves in an autumn. It's great in my opinion. But yeah, leaf litters can be picked up with your fist, and what's great about them is not just that they can be used as furnace fuel if you want them, but also what's great is they're a way to spot if a biome has generated before or after the spring drop. All of your old forests will not have leaf litters on the ground, but any newly generated forests will have these everywhere, so they actually are surprisingly useful. Speaking of surprisingly useful, that's kind of the opposite of what the new cow variants are. People are going crazy for these, and I'm not going to ruin anyone's enjoyment, but there are 3 brand new cow variants. As always, there is still the existing one, so when you have a cow spawn into your Minecraft world, if it spawns in most biomes, it will be the temperate cow. He actually has changed, so if you look at him, you can see he's got a new snout, a new caboose, and his udder slightly pokes out, but it's mostly the same cow with an improved model. However, the same can't be said if you go to a cold biome, where you'll get this woolly cow. He's super adorable, in my opinion, and if you go to a warm biome, like say the savannah, then you'll get the I guess the cold cow, but the cow with less fur. I guess that's the cold cow. This is the warm cow. I can't believe they decided to add more diversity to cows in Minecraft. This is utterly woke nonsense, and I just wanted to make that one joke. I'll be honest with you. What's interesting about the variety of cows we now have is that if you breed 2 cows from different biomes, you would figure that it would be based on where the cow is born would be the most important factor. However, it is genetics, and so you can see we just got a baby warm cow, super cute. Speaking of super cute, let's use this as an opportunity to talk about the beacon changes. Yep, you heard correctly, they changed the beacon, which is exciting because on Bedrock, the beacon doesn't really work like a beacon right now. This is 1.21.51, the currently available update, and as you can see, as I move away from the beacon, the beams stop being visible, and this happens at 64 blocks away. I incorrectly said in my last video it was tied to your simulation distance. It is actually just 64 blocks regardless, which is really poor. There could be a furnace running in my house right now, but I can't see the beacon beam because reasons? Yep, because reasons. And so in the Java edition of the game, they've actually just updated this to make it as far away as your render distance and then slightly beyond technically, and it even gets thicker so that it's always visible even at the very edge. And so what has happened in the preview? Well, let me show you this exact same world, my Let's Play world, available right now in the marketplace if you're curious as to how I'm using this exact same copy, and let me show you exactly what happens then, because it's interesting. Okay, so same world now, except I'm in the preview, and you'll notice something interesting, which is that the beacons will still fade away at 64 blocks. Sadly, they did not up the render distance, but wait, they all fade away except one. There's one beacon that doesn't fade away at 64 blocks and doesn't fade away for substantially longer. What's the deal with that then? Well, this is an interesting change they made to beacons at the exact same time, and that is to remove the vertical height limit counting as part of those 64 blocks. In other words, previously, 64 blocks was the distance from which you could view a beacon from before, but that would count as a spherical or cube distance. However, now it's going to actually count as a purely horizontal one, which means that even though this beacon is all the way down at Y y minus 64. Actually, do you want me to show you? Here is a beacon I have that's all the way, don't kill me, down at my fake house here at y minus 50, and I can see it all the way up there from the surface at y plus 64. That's right, there is no longer a height ceiling on where you can see a beacon from, which I thought it's ridiculous that there ever was one, but again, it's Minecraft. When it comes to Bedrock, we don't get sad that there were bugs that existed, we get happy that they've been fixed, and as you can see, just like on Java, you can now go as high into your world as you like, and you'll be able to see those beacon beams for as long as they exist. This is super cool. This has never existed before, and I know it's a weird thing to be happy about, but look how cool it looks. The beacons actually go into the sky like beacons, and so now all that's missing is that they clearly need to get their distance worked out too. And so what's the progress on that? Funnily enough, I posted basically this same video to Twitter, and I got an interesting response from the man himself, King B Dogs, and he was speaking about how these changes came about on the Java edition. For those unaware, King B Dogs is a Minecraft developer who got hired because of his work on the Aether, but since working on Minecraft has worked on the Ancient City, the Deep Dark, and much, much more. And so in response to me talking about how beacons currently work on Bedrock and hoping they get improved, he says it's something they have been investigating, and it actually started as an exploration on Bedrock first before Java, but the timeline on improving it might be longer. No promises, seriously, but we'll keep looking into it. In other words, they were trying to improve the Bedrock beacon, and while they were working on the Bedrock beacon, they couldn't actually do so, but could work out how to improve the Java beacon. That sounds like nonsense on the surface. Like, wait, they were working on a Bedrock fix, then they couldn't work on the Bedrock fix, but then they brought it to Java, because the way that parity works is they're meant to actually work on features at the same time. If it can't come to one edition, it can't come to either, in other words, but they have brought this change to Java regardless, which makes me think they can bring it to Bedrock, just in a much longer time frame, maybe weeks, maybe months, and so that raises a few questions. How can that possibly be true? Because surely all you've got to do is take the beacon render distance and up it. They effectively did it in this preview with the height, and so why not just do that with the horizontal distance? And there are two explanations to why they can't. One of these could be performance. Having a lot of beacon beams could be a real detriment to performance on lower end devices like the phones, and let's be honest, more people play on their Switches than play on low end phones, and all of those people would have even less performance to play with. That would be bad. Or the second explanation I heard from Late Lag, whose opinions I generally trust and who is very good when it comes to the bug end of things. They say, my guess is that the shortcomings of the Pocket Edition engine are finally catching up to them, and there's no easy way to fix it without breaking the entire game. And given how many things do render differently past, say, 4 to 12 chunks, it does make sense that maybe there is just some piece of code that will break if these are rendering too far out, and so that is a problem they're going to have to deal with, and hopefully they do it before the spring drop. It would be a great shame if after all of this talk of parity, one of the most exciting features to me does not end up in the Bedrock version of the game, despite making it to Java, but I'm hoping, I'm crossing my fingers here, that they can work on some solution during this update cycle. Speaking of update cycles, we did say we'd know when 1.21.70 came out, whether they were guaranteed to be releasing the spring drop as that update, or whether it would be coming out later, but as you can see from this message, when you load up the beta for the first time, it actually says you have to enable Drop 1 2025 experimental toggle to test these features out, and so yeah, that is very interesting. We'll have to come back around that in the conclusion, because first we need to go into these secret features. What secret features are found inside of this preview, i.e. that is features that are in the game but aren't listed in the changelog. You cannot know about these unless you either run across them yourself or watch a video like this one, and let's go into this beta. So Minecraft Bedrock very rarely has secret features that aren't on the changelog, because they're very, very good at documentation. The only times we usually find things are from data mining, and oh, by the way, data mining has told us that maybe there's going to be a new biome with this update. There certainly seems to be an indication that way, but anyway, while we're talking about this, it's important to note that Minecraft Bedrock very rarely has features that aren't listed on the changelog, but there's quite a few in this preview. That's right, even though the changelog references very minor things like donkey spawning going down from 2 to 6 mobs in a plains biome to 1 to 3, it doesn't reference the fact that they've changed the cobweb texture, or at least stretched it out. Here is what the cobweb looked like before, here is what it looks like now. There's quite a few blocks that seem like they are very slightly deformed, maybe by accident, maybe they were playing around with the rendering engine and messed that up, but yeah, the cobweb is not meant to be this wide, but currently is. Also, when you press pause to, look at that, you can pause the game, 1.21.60, very exciting update by the way, coming out soon, but when you pause the game to invite people, you can see that the invite to game button isn't below your character anymore, or it's above, and also there's a dedicated little icon for it that we haven't seen before. The invite screen itself is very much the same, but I think it's very interesting that that is the way it is. Also, when you go to your profile, again, this is the beta, so maybe this is just something weird about that, you can see that up here there is a new version of your skin as well as your face that are both visible, although you can see that it's kind of there weirdly because the top of my head is not black, either as the top of my shoulder or the top of my nose, so there's some weird bugs with the 3D geometry, but it will now show your skin on your little profile over here, something that I think is hugely interesting. I have no doubt that there's all sorts of other weird things that have changed and not directly been mentioned, but the one I want to point out is the fact that they've changed the game files, and as Smokey Stack, who is often the person to go through a lot of these files, has rightly pointed out, there is a brand new text file called Starter Seeds. So Starter Seeds could be one of two things. Either that's an explanation for what already exists as the seed templates. If you are curious, if you don't play Minecraft Bedrock much, when you create a new world on Bedrock, you can create a new world both from a world template, or you can create a new world, and instead of just typing in a seed randomly, you can use the preset ones. This is because many Minecraft Bedrock platforms find it hard to copy paste the seed, so just being able to spawn in a pale garden is great. However, the seed, this is only one possibility. The second one is that as well as having seed templates that are there for particular spawns, there could also be some starter seeds that are there potentially so that when you start your first world as a new player, kind of like a tutorial, you'll get an easier, more balanced seed. It's hard to say what it is yet, it hasn't been implemented, but if it's the second thing, then that's an interesting change Minecraft's making to the new player experience. They've been making a lot of those, but if it is the seed templates, which it might be, then that means it's a high chance of there being a brand new biome or world feature that you would want to spawn next to. So far, all we have is leaf litter and wildflowers, and probably you wouldn't want a world that has those things, but if you look through what we have so far, about a third of these are structures, like the spooky mansion, the outpost ahead, or the ocean monument ahead, and about 2/3 are new biomes. So when they added the cherry grove, we got the cherry grove seed. When they added the trail chambers, we got a trail chamber seed. When they added the pale garden, we got one of those, and so if they've updated this file to add new seeds, or potentially add new seeds, we could be getting a brand new biome. Personally, I don't think that that's necessarily the guaranteed outcome here. I would say that it's much more likely they're doing something else with it, or they've just decided that the current features maybe make sense for you to want to get, like a foresty seed. But yeah, I've got a lot, there's a lot of promise in that, I would say. But speaking of promise, we now have reached the 5th part of this video, which is when we can talk about everything, including that experimental toggle, which is still on. So here is the conclusion from the video so far. I want to say, first of all, that 1.20, 1.70 is off to a very good start. Getting all the way up to date with Java, minus beacons, and I think maybe actually minus those desert sounds, is a very good start for the first beta of 1.20, 1.70. And I hope that going forwards, things go well. It was a 3-week gap between the first set of features and the second set, so will it be another 2 betas of nothingness before the next one, or will next week be something exciting by itself? I don't know. What I do think, though, is that during this update, it's likely we see a brand new mob. I partly think this because of the joke about the, Minecraft updates be like, and they literally have 3 things. A brand new, one the cow, a brand new flower, and a new wood type. Well, we've had one the cow, we've had a brand new flower, so maybe we're getting a new wood type, and what would a new wood type require? Either for them to change swamp trees into something, or azalea trees, or a brand new biome altogether. Given that they clearly aren't averse to adding new biomes in drops, maybe that's just what they're going to do. Maybe we're going to see the Maplewood biome, although more realistically something else. I would love to see a Greenwood in Minecraft personally, and I'd also love to see a brand new mob, although you could argue by adding all these mob variants, they don't need a new mob because they've effectively added 4. Although again, Mojang, please, add the Moo Bloom. Now is the time. And speaking of things that now is the time for, now is the time to say that, yeah, I am excited to see what they get up to in the rest of these previews, but I also would say that now is the time to end this video, and so if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, favorite, and subscribe. If you really liked it, turn on the bell, because I'll see you for my live stream later today. I'm back in the Nomad world. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Also, it's weird how often I spend walking around the marketplace copy of my world. It feels exactly like my world, and every now and then there's something where I'm like, oh yeah, because it's like, it's the latest update, so it's going to be like 1.20, 1.40 rather than right now. Every now and then I'm like, oh, it's missing a few weeks of progress. How strange. Is that good? Is that normal? Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, because I'll see you next time. Bye!